Welcome to a highlight Jeebus video now r/AskReddit. People who have signed NDAs that have now expired or for whatever reason are no longer valid. What couldn't you tell us but now can? House hunters, guest checking in. I never made the show because I didn't close on the house. 1. I had to have a house under contract before going on the show. 2. They would select the other houses we were interested in. 3. I was assigned another SO who was more interesting than my actual SO. I signed an NDA once when I was an extra on Mortal Engines. If you watch the movie, you'll learn more than I did on set. Posted this before. If it sounds familiar, not me, but a guy the first no was on Cash Cab. A lot of it was faked. He was told he would be on a travel food show and would get picked up by a fake taxi at a certain location at a certain time. There were camera crews all over outside the taxi and there's no way on earth you might mistake it for a real cab. I worked for a native casino. The golf courses lost a ton of money for us, as did the advertising for the courses. Food we generally broke even on because of all the comps. If a crime was committed by a dealer, they would watch the dealer for 3 months to see if there were accomplices. They used facial recognition and would pair match you, so if the same person sat with the same dealer over and over, they would know. This way they could look for accomplices. Then when they busted you, they would sit you down and make you watch a video of you breaking the law. They did this because they wanted you to plead guilty as opposed to an expensive trial. Previous pharmacy chain I worked for, always at risk of robbery for opiates. And we are always taught to give the robber what they want with no questions asked. Have heard of times that pharmacists instead gave bottles of Oxy with Tylenol in it instead and other things that were reckless and dangerous due to possible retaliation when and if they figure out they have been duped. New policy and NDA comes out where specific opiates were placed in safe with GPS tracker and charger, so when it is removed from radius of origin, it issues remote notification to third party that tracks location and works with local Leo to find the wanted party. I had to sign an NDA because I was part of a test screening for The Dark Tower with Idris Elba. Tried to tell them it sucked. They didn't want to listen. We used an extract to flavor our peanut butter porter. God, it feels good to get that off my chest. I signed an NDA to waitress at a local family-owned restaurant. The owner was nuts. Definitely had a severe personality disorder, and was worried about his recipes getting leaked. The restaurant is dead now and his secret recipes consisted almost solely of frozen packaged food. Edit. Guys, stop trying to guess what restaurant it is. You never will. There are millions of family-owned places with crazy bosses that go under. You don't know the place and I'm not gonna tell you. Also, Mr. Krabs pays his employees enough to own houses and pets. I wish I worked for him this year. Signed an NDA when I worked as a fit model for Katy Perry's shoe line. Basically, a fit model is used for their good proportions to test out the fit of garments. I'm a solid size 7.5, so hooray for being average. I was hired on 2 occasions and got to hang out and give her my opinion on the fit, feeling, and comfort of different shoes. Didn't think she'd actually be there, but both times she was present and totally running the show. Super nice woman in person and remembered me when we met again. Also, she apologized for making me wait so long, which I thought was nice. It was a late-night meeting as she just wrapped shooting a music video. Her dog is really cute too, and I got to save it when it got stuck behind a wall panel. Recycling company would throw away a lot of stuff. They collected the money from government subsidies, while leaving the employees to a shit salary in a hazardous workplace. Our OSHA would have freaked out. That included having dirty syringes. Thank God I didn't get stabbed by one. Where people would sort the materials. It was awful. DND5e had a kick-ass online character builder that made character creation a breeze. It listed all of the possible skills etc. per race and class that was intuitive and made theory crafting for characters easy. Personal conjecture. They canned it because it took away from the pen and paper aspect of the game and they were afraid with an online tool it'd take away from book sales. That someone was making a wristwatch with 2 faces so you could set one to local time and one to the time year from a year for international travelers. My boss almost immediately broke it and had to pay. Worked for a short time as a QA tester at EA and wasn't allowed to talk about the game one was testing, the console port for The Sims 4. There wasn't really much to talk about, but since the first few versions were basically just running the PC version on a console, there were a lot of bugs with it. One of the worst was a lighting bug we started referring to as disco mode, since it caused a bunch of multicolored squares to show up on everything at night or in dark areas. In 1990, I signed an NDA at Chili's when they showed me how to make their new Awesome Blossomissier. No other restaurant in town had anything like it and it was hugely popular at the time. Worked at a matchmaking company. It's all bullshit, it's just throwing darts at a wall until something sticks. There's no science or magic to it all. Edit. I didn't work for an internet matching company, so they may have a different process. What we did was get a paid client and set him up on dates. The dates we found were from a pool of women and we would just keep picking one after another. I quit because I felt like the women were just being used, and I became uncomfortable profiting off of people's hopes. They very much play up on finding you true love and it's a process. Blah blah. They'll very much play up the fairy tale romance. It did change me. I don't really date anymore because I don't trust the true intentions of people anymore. I became very jaded to dating after all of that. I was a model for a few big-name, well-known makeup companies. I did several print ads for magazines and a few television commercials. The makeup artists used the product advertised, but minimally. Like that mascara they're touting. It's over really good fake eyelashes, and they also used another brand of mascara along with the one they're trying to sell you. Also, the clothes in the ads you see are pinned to high heaven on the model. They fit nothing like they look. It's not you. It's not your body. It's fake advertising. Most of us models look just like you wearing that crap without all the pins and tucks and double-sided tape. Did some work on the trading floor at Goldman Sachs. I had access to all trading accounts and transactions. Came across some shady-looking accounts which did not meet policy. It did not use clearly identifiable name and I could not find records of creation or testing for it, etc. I asked my supervisor if I should look into this. He turned to me and said, "We don't ask about those accounts. Just ignore them as your orders from the top." Trading account creation is a long and detailed process that requires formal approval from multiple lines of management. These accounts circumvented all that and were basically anonymous with no trace. They were also trading high volume, and I was told to accept and ignore them as your. A friend of mine got a job at a prominent local distillery that makes an extremely popular flavored whiskey. They literally buy whiskey from a third-party distillery and dump Rani flavoring syrup into it. One of my friend's brothers was on the MTV show Room Raiders. Everything in the show is staged. All of the items that they would find were planted. At the end of the show, the prize was not a date with the girl that he picked. He just got her phone number. Saw the new Ferrari hybrid tech by employer and couldn't speak or mention it until today. They launched a new hybrid model. I can now tell you that Ferrari intends to have a car with 3 hybrid motors and that's pretty much it. Apple 100% replaced the iPhone 4 for users because of a shitty antenna. We were instructed to dodge, deflect, and deny this was the issue. Cell phone providers were shit. The phone was a fluke. It didn't matter. Don't admit fault. But if they were there for reception versus water damage, buttons or battery life, you had to make sure you were swapping them with the newer batch iPhone 4 swaps rather than the typical batch swaps. It was a recall without being a recall, but only if you had reception issues. Amazon made me sign one when I worked with a company that painted their airplanes before the public knew they had theme this year. I did the FAA paperwork. I was literally only one of like 7 people to see their airplane fully purple with their logo on it. I was actually taken off of the project for a day because they thought I lied about not having a Facebook. They meant business. Thanks for watching Highlight Jeebus video, mate. Make sure to smash that like button for more high quality content.